a podcast connecting Olympiacos fans from Melbourne to Baltimore, from London to Piraeus. We are 4 Olympiacos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you'll never lose the latest updates and stories of the team you love. This is our team, our city, and our land. Man Onyekuru. You're listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Gate 7 International Podcast. I'm your host, Adi, and we're joined by two of the blog team today, mixing it up on you guys. We've got Steve Kountourou, who you guys recognize also from Elas Footy, and Martial, who actually did a lovely pre-match for us just before this game. Boys, how are we doing? Steve, how are you doing today?
Adi, very, very pleased about the win today. It's made my day even better. And for me, early doors, that's 1 foot into the Europa League group stages already, and I was very, very happy with what I saw.
Exactly. Me too. Martial, how do you feel, buddy?
Happy too, because it was the win we all expected from since the beginning of the summer. So it finally came tonight. So we only can be happy.
Exactly. You can only be happy. And we wanted an emphatic win today. We got the emphatic win, 3-0. Love it. Super happy about it. Super excited. And we're going to digest this whole thing, break it apart, discuss the post-match. But as always, we got some quick housekeeping first, boys and girls. As always, in terms, if you want to help out the motherland, if you want to help out with the wildfires, HEPA is doing a lot of wildfire relief. I've talked about HEPA before. If you guys want to get involved, do some volunteer work, help out with the cause, check out your local HEPA chapter, or you can donate directly to the wildfire cause. And lastly, we want to thank our sponsor, Piraeus International. Piraeus International is your one-stop shop for all your international transshipping needs, whether you're shipping olive oil, packages, cars, or relocating completely. Piraeus International is here to help. Freight forwarding service is available to almost any port around the world. Please contact our friends at 410-675-4696 or send them an email to sales@piraeusintl.com. Now that that's out of the way, the comments are already getting started. Everyone seems happy. We love doing these podcasts when everyone's happy. We're happy, not upset. It's just a good feeling all around. So let's get started. First and foremost, was there anybody that really excited you today? Was there a performance, anyone in particular that you guys were happy to watch? I know for me, I was excited about Baby Camara, and he did not disappoint. How about you guys? Martial, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say Pape Sise, because we all know that he had to leave in January because he wanted to play. Mm-hmm. And I think that what amazed me with him is that he loves the club so much. He always gives the best he can, even if he was not probably the main starter at the beginning of the summer. But if we recall, he didn't make any friendly, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So he came very late, and he played as a left back. I think it was in Baku, and tonight he was perfect because he scored 1 goal. He almost scored another one, and he's another type of defender compared to Semedo because he has the right attitude. So obviously he make mistakes sometimes. We all remember his mistakes, but he has the will to progress. And in every game, he has a will to progress. And I think with a defender like that, you can go far. I'm not sure he will stay after the summer, but if he leaves, well, we have only positive thing to say about him.
Yep. And Aguilos Siopis comment agreed with you. Sise was crazy good today. Floppy 7 or Floppy 7, not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Sise, man of the match. But yes, guys, there was a very troubling injury for Sise. I'm telling you, the way he was limping off the field, the way he went down, I'm worried. I personally, as you guys know, I've suffered 2 ACL injuries. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried, especially the way he hobbled off the field. I'm worried about the knee. I'm worried about some ligaments. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Knock on wood. pray to whoever, cross your fingers that he's okay and it's something else. But he had a great game today. I hope he's not injured. Steven, who really stuck out for you?
I got to go with Martial. It was Sise. Like I almost didn't expect him to play, mainly because he's been linked with moves away. So obviously he was part of the squad, unlike Semedo. But I expected Markovic to start this game, and not even without the goals, Sise, just his desire and his hunger to play. And may I remind you, he's probably the centre back. I think he is the centre back in our squad that's been here the longest now of all of the defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, because he was here even when Lenin was Lenin. Oh my God, Hazi was here. Sorry.
During the bad times with Besnik Hassi and God, don't get me started. But like I remember, I listened to the last episode that you guys talked about the lack of desire from the players against Ludogorets, and I didn't see that with Sise. Like Sise, who has been here throughout the worst of the worst times in the modern era to the best of the best, he still has that drive and hunger and that passion to play for the badge and for the fans as well, especially with the fans now back in the stadium. And it's so good to see. And I was so impressed with him. And I hope that, like you say, his injury isn't long term, because I mean, like Martial said, he could leave if he is fit and he's fit to go to a new club in the transfer window. But I hope we do everything to keep him. I really do. He brings so much to this squad.
Now let's remember how much we lost in last January when he left, because obviously he wanted to play, and I'm okay with that. But I think it was a mistake from the club to only count on Socrates and Avram to replace Sise, because except tonight, he's never injured. He can play back-to-back games every 3 days, so it's very useful for a coach, I think.
Absolutely. And another player that I thought did well, and the comments seem to agree with me as well, Kenny Lala, Fetanos right here. Lala was great. Eleftherios Machinis, Lala was good too, finally. So I thought Lala had an interesting, a good game, and for a couple of reasons. So I don't know if you guys noticed, and I was mentioning in our group chat, he was really high up. He was staying really high up the field. Clearly Martins gave him some directions, because usually Lala frustrates us with kind of how conservative he is. And we know that coming from Strasbourg, a little bit more of a defensive team, a team that doesn't possess as much, he stayed back. He was used to getting up for a counter, and that was it. But today he was very far up the field, linking quite well on the wing, played some lovely crosses in. So I was happy with his performance. I have never been scared of his defending ability. I thought that he always can defend quite well. My concern was always going forward. And he looked great to me. I thought he looked good. I was happy with him going forward. And my question to you guys is Lala the number one for you guys going further? Or in Greece, do you still think Adroutsos has better offensive capability? What's your opinion on that and how he played today? Martial, go ahead.
Well, I think that for me, the answer is clearly that Lala is the number one, because even if he was not shining since he came in January, he's the only right back we have actually, along to Drager, who is not playing. And I love Androutos. I love Androutos, but he's not the right back. He has all the technical ability and the vision ability also of a midfielder. So, well, obviously he can play in Greece in games such as Apollon Smyrnis, games like that. But Lala, if you give him more games, more time to add games after games after games, I think that we will see the difference. And I think also that when Lala does a game that is not very good, it will always be better than Androutos, because we also in Europe how bad it can be when he's not in the game.
Right. Now, Steven, we had an interesting comment just come in from Muscarius. I think Lala can do so much more. He just lacks confidence. So do you agree with this?
I'd say so. I think this was like the first time we've had a complete performance from Lala, and that's good to see. And I hope he has more of those things, the more of those performances in a more consistently. But that also comes with the game time that he's given. His confidence will grow once he's given more consistent game time, because that's been his problem ever since he's come to Olympiacos. It's been maybe one game, then he's out for a few because Androutos is playing. And then I believe I think he got sent off in the latter stages of the season as well. And then from there on, he was either not in the squad or he was benched and didn't come on. So it's just about consistency for Lala. And I'm with Martial on the fact that as much as I want, we all love to see our Greek players given the opportunity to develop, and we want to see Androutos play. But when it comes to the natural fit for the right back position, whereby even if he gives a 6 out of 10 performance, he'll still be reasonably solid and won't get caught out on the break. It's Lala, and I want to see Lala play. He's one of our senior players. We got him for an absolute steal compared to what he was worth in the transfer market. So we got to give him a chance.
Yeah, I have been in agreement since the day we signed him. I have been very patient, I believe, in terms of what he can do, and then the performances we saw. Always the thing I try to remind people is when you bring some of these players in that are coming from completely different systems, and you're asking them to assimilate into a system and to a different climate here, some players take a little bit longer, and sometimes you can't always expect them to just fit right in, at the drop of a hat. So this is part of the thing, and I think that the more Lala plays, as Martial mentioned before, the better he's going to get, and we're seeing that. The more he's playing, the better he's getting, the better he's linking up with everyone. So I think it's just going to be good news going forward. Now, how about his comrade on the other side of the field, Oleg? We seem to have some positive feedback in the comments so far about Oleg as well. FM_Pana right here. Even Oleg started crossing. Zafirop 05. Oleg connected across finally. So there's everyone seems to be a little bit more positive on Oleg. He did connect, guys. He connected across. He did have one. I wouldn't count it as a cross, mainly because it was on the ground, but that was the foul, unfortunately, that got called back. But he technically connected, you could say, 2 crosses today. His crosses even looked better. The ones that didn't connect, they actually had some nice airtime, we'll say, and kind of went finally into the vicinity of somebody. Happy to see that. Steven, what were your thoughts on Oleg? You think he had a good game? The execution was much better, and of course you had the effort, so I thought he had a solid game. But what are your thoughts?
When it comes to Oleg, there's no denying his effort. He always puts in 100%, and that's something that's great to see, especially as there's been a lot of question marks around him and whether we should bring in a left back, a new left back before the transfer window closes, which I'm still of the sentiment, but that doesn't necessarily mean Oleg should be dropped the moment we bring in a new left back. Sorry. I would like to make a weird comparison. It's not an exact comparison because they're completely different players in different positions. But remember when Masouras first came in, and Masouras had the ability and the work ethic, but he lacked the execution, and he developed that over time. And that's what I'm seeing from Oleg. Like he clearly has the tools to do what Martins wants him to do, but he just hasn't quite worked it out yet, and he's still so young. I can't even think how young he is. He's like 22. He must be. I think he's pretty young to be our senior left back. So
he is. Yeah, he is young.
So he's still developing as a player. I think people forget that because I think he is a lot more of a mature player than his age perceives him as. So again, like with Lala, he just needs time to properly develop, and obviously, how much time can you give a player, especially when you're competing on multiple fronts? But yeah. I think he will come good.
Yeah, I believe that always, especially as Porto fought tooth and nail to try and make sure we couldn't get him in the winter. I hate bringing this up all the time, but Luis, one of the Portuguese analysts we spoke to last year, he told us he is heavily followed. They thought that he had a better long-term, we'll say, trajectory than Zaidu did. And that's why they wanted him. So this player is going to come good. The execution just wasn't there. We had a comment here from Alex 959167555. Add less numbers in that screen name, please. Oleg was okay, but you could clearly see he follows Gate 7 International, scared for his life to send across. Maybe we helped him in terms of motivating himself to cross a little bit better. But I was happy. He turned 23 in January. So he turned 23 this past winter. He's still young. We got plenty of time. He will come good. I expect some pretty big things out of Oleg, especially once his crossing and his execution gets there. Martial, what were your thoughts on Oleg?
I totally agree with you because I always say that Oleg was more like a project. Maybe he has all the package to shine. He just needs time to develop it, and he almost played like every game since he came in January because there is no one beside him as a left back because Olebas went back into a center back, so he played pretty much every game since he came, and maybe he just needs someone around him, maybe someone during 1 year, 2 year, a starter, and that will allow him to play like 15, 20 games, and maybe to learn from someone how to cross, how to manage his effort, because sometimes I have the impression that he just runs too much, and then it does not calculate that at the end he will be tired, and it will prevent him to make a good cross because, well, he's too tired. It reminds me sometimes Tsimikas at the very beginning because he was running so much, he was like defending every time, attacking, but it was not very efficient. And
yes,
maybe that's why Martins is taking so long to find a left back, because he does not want to burn Reabciuk with a top left back around him that will play every game.
It's possible. I definitely understand that logic, 100%. And I think, look, either way, we still need a left back. We still do need one way or another. So I hope that gets addressed before the window closes, because I don't want to go this season again with just one left back, and then we're rotating and figuring stuff out last second. Now, while we're on the left side of the field, some of the chat is getting a little bit impatient because they want us to address a big story today that a lot of people noticed. Onyekuru's hair wasn't green anymore, guys. Floppy7 here. This was one of the comments. How haven't you guys talked about the biggest story of the day? Onyekuru's hair is blonde again. Listen, I have my suspicions about what happened. I think a certain vice president / spokesperson, or maybe even somebody else, came into the locker room, met Oleg after he returned from his haircut, dunked him in a vat of hair dye and said, listen, we're done. The green hair doesn't pass. It's changing today. So that's we'll see what happens further on. But that was hysterical. A lot of people commented on it. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think somebody gave him a talking to about the green haircut, or do you think, is it one of those, like, isn't there some like hair colors that just wash out after a day or so? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Stephen, go ahead.
All I'm saying is, if you go that much effort to go all the way to Turkey just to get your hair dyed, it must cost quite a bit to get it dyed. And, yeah, it must be one of those things that somebody must have mentioned it, whether it be a fellow player or somebody higher up in the club. But you know how they mention if somebody requests the number 13 as on the back of the shirt, and people say, oh, that's associated with Panathinaikos. They've probably pulled him aside and said, look, man, like, green's not going to fly with the Olympiacos fans. Like, you can't really wear that, especially wearing our red and white kit. It doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, it's a weird one for sure. And I already have chat. Fetanos is coming after me already. Adi did a deep dive on him once, said he's great. I didn't exactly say that. I said I was happier after watching the deep dive than before, but I still wouldn't have paid $5 million for him. So just to be clear about that. But it doesn't matter. Fetanos is going to take up his mantle of always giving me shit for my deep dives. Oh, no. Sorry. He meant Vinagre. Yes. Okay. Well, yes. He's going to remind me of that all the time.
Who?
Exactly. Who?
Exactly.
We're forgetting completely
What
about
a clown.
that. No more
Even I
tangents for
bigged him up.
Vinagre.
Even I bigged up Vinagre. I was like, oh my God, he's worth 22 mil. He's going to be great on FIFA. I was such a 14-year-old. Then I realized how bad he was, and Holebas was better than him. Jesus Christ.
Oh, do you need to go to Turkey for that? Says Floppy7. All you need is a pack of green Kool-Aid. Well, that probably would have been a better, let's say, expenditure of his money than flying all the way there just to get it dye green and turn back. Martial, what do you think about this? Do you think Onyekuru got a nice talking to about the club history?
Maybe, I think, because most of the players that come to Olympiacos, unfortunately, doesn't know the background, if I can say that, of the club, of the rivalry, of the symbol that can be associated with other clubs. So maybe he was told after going to Turkey that you can't have an haircut like that if you play for Olympiacos. So, well, it was just maybe a stupid mistake that he learned from, and maybe if he does something like that another time, that maybe we can say that he's a fool. But we saw on the pitch that he has some qualities, so I will stay on that.
Yes, and Aguilar Siopis brings this up. The green hair represented Nigeria, but if he went to Kaidaskaiki like that, he wouldn't be alive for long. That's probably true. And for me, the issue, it wasn't really the hair color that bothered me so much. It was two things. First of all, the action of him going to Turkey after we just suffered a terrible loss, something that all of our players needed to get back into, their groove with, really get their heads on straight. It's pretty tone deaf, so to speak, for him to just fly out, go to Turkey, especially when Turkey supposedly is a hotbed right now for the Delta variant. It's kind of tone deaf. So not only are you leaving, you're leaving after Olympiacos just had a horrible loss. You're supposed to be taking this time to get your head on straight so the team can come back strong. And you go over there and you do this, and then it's anyway. We're gonna let that slide. But what did you think of his 20 minutes today? For me, I kind of saw a little bit what I expected. His runs were nice when he was able to get into that open territory. He's so threatening. And having his speed and Oleg's speed on the same side, I felt so bad for that fullback, guys. It's crazy. The width now that we have with both of their speed, it's incredible.
Yes.
But I am concerned still, and I'm still concerned after even just a couple of the instances we saw today. I wasn't a huge fan of his close possession, or I should say his close possession play with his teammates. It's kind of what I expected. I didn't think it was something he could do too well. And he likes to take a touch or two, can't do too much pass and move. But it was only 20 minutes. But that was something that, unfortunately, I think we're going to see more of. So, Martial, what were your thoughts on his 20 minutes today?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, at what moment I remember that Koundé didn't give him the ball, and he was in a top position to go maybe on a one against the goalkeeper, but also he made a nice dribble at the moment for a free kick. So we also that he has nice technique. He's very speed. He has a very nice speed also. So it just needs game to find the position, the connection with the teammates. But it will make difference, because even if I wasn't a fan of him, if you take a look at his statistics for winger, he scored a lot of goals. He gave a lot of assists. So there is no reason he won't score for us. He just needs time, and maybe in Slovakia for the second leg.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a point there. I think we will see when we play better teams that are pressing us into our half, and maybe teams that are going to be a little bit more open for the counter. That's when I think we'll see him shine, because he's going to have more space. more chance to run onto the ball instead of us playing possession in the opponent's third. I don't think we're going to get the best out of him this season. When we're playing against teams that are packing 10 men behind the ball and we're trying to break them open, we're going to see less value out of him, unless, of course, it's him trying to poach opportunities in the box. I think when we play better teams in Europe, that's when he will shine because he'll have space to get forward. And that's what, kind of how Lazar was in that first season, when he really got us through qualifiers. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning. We'll see, as the context for that. Steven, what do you think about Onyekuru's 20 minutes?
I expected, I don't know what it was. I expected him to start this game. Maybe it's because I didn't expect Valbuena to start tonight for some reason. But when he came on, I think we haven't. I agree with both your sentiments. Maybe it's just that the game was done at that point, and maybe Martins chucked him on to be like, get yourself a feel for the game. It's more or less done. If you can do anything and contribute to another goal or another chance potentially, do it. I mean, he was in and out of the game for me. The most significant thing I remember was towards the end of the game where he had the ball on the left-hand side and he changed the pace immediately. Like, you could see that self-confidence to just completely do his man. And then he cleverly flicked the ball just as he was getting fouled. So the capability of winning fouls in dangerous positions is pretty important. So that would be interesting to see how we utilize that this season with him on the pitch.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into more of a tactics thing, there's one other player I really wanted to talk about, and that was the goalkeeper, Vaclik. Now, Vaclik there wasn't a lot to really challenge him, but there were a couple of moments that I thought were very important because to really separate a goalkeeper that has experience and a goalkeeper that doesn't. Again, not that I blame Tsoulakis. I have been a huge defender of Tsoulakis and what he's done up to this point. But we had two strong, I don't want to call them counters. Maybe we could call them counters, that stemmed from Vaclik's not just great vision and accuracy when he was punting the ball out, but his initiative to get that rolling. So I thought that was very, very important. There's been a couple of comments, too, about Vaclik, and people thought he had a good game, not because anything really challenged him, but because of what he can do with the ball at his feet. And I brought this up in my deep dive. His ball playing ability is way better than Sise was. So that's one thing that I had mentioned, and you guys could see it today. He's better with the ball at his feet, probably from spending a lot of time playing in Spain. And even those long punts, that wasn't something I saw in the deep dive. That wasn't something I paid attention for, but man, boy, was that nice to see. So were you guys happy seeing Vaclik? Did it make you feel better?
Yes.
Martial, did you feel better? Because I got to tell you, I've been concerned about Vaclik's fitness, so to speak.
Yeah, we all did, and it's obvious that I was happy because we can't judge anymore a goalkeeper now with the modern football only on his ability to stop balls. He needs to play with his feet. He needs to play sometimes like a center back when the team has the ball. And I see on those points that Vaclik is far ahead from Tsoulakis, and which is logical because he has more experience. He's international. He played very well at the Euro. We all saw that, and I think that it will be a clear upgrade for us and also for all the defense because for a center back and also for right back or left back, it's always easier to play when you know that the goalkeeper is safe and when you know that he has the experience to I don't know, to make a quick kick up front or to gain time to make a small pass to the defender. And let's see now on those points, Vaclik has, it is a perfect profile for us to replace Josesa. And if we take in consideration the market of goalkeepers, it was probably the best option for a lot of clubs to rely on Vaclik.
Yep, absolutely. Steven, what were your thoughts on Vaclik?
Yeah, it was just he looked so calm and collected in goal. Maybe that's the kind of the atmosphere he brings with the experience he has. He's won the Europa League with Sevilla. This is the competition we're going to be playing in this season. He's a esteemed Czech international. He did well at the Euros. He's done a lot of big things at club level already, and I think not only that, but I guess for the opponents, they see Vashlik in there and they know that he's experienced. They're not going to be able to try as many things or take as many risks as they would with a maybe less experienced keeper like Zolagis. Not to say that Zolagis got caught out at any point that was significant, because I'm a big defender of Zolagis as well. I would never have blamed him for what happened in the Champions League qualifiers. He was one of the few players that I thought was blameless in what happened. But Vashlik, just seeing him there, and I think the next level things he can bring to our club, where Zolagis still needs time. Like we've all said, he's so young. It's so young, and you can't put that pressure on a young player's shoulders like that in any position. But it was just, but also we like you said, Ari, he didn't really have a lot to be challenged by this game. I think I looked at the stats before the podcast. I think they had like one shot all game, maybe one clear cut chance, and other than that, he wasn't really bothered. It was just his distribution, as you said, that was really impressive for me, and I think he gave the backline that extra bit of confidence to show, yeah, I'm an experienced keeper. I'm going to be protecting you the whole game.
Yes.
You're 100% correct. I was happy. I hope we see more of him. I hope there's no injuries this season, and I hope that he is going to be our leader in that backline area for the rest of the season. I do want to see Tzolakis get more chances because he's going to be our future, and I do want to see him. I don't want to see his career get ruined because of what happened going into this preseason. Now, in terms of tactics, moving on to more broader spectrum things, we saw a 4-2-3-1 today. It's been a while since we've seen that. What do you guys think about the 4-2-3-1? Do you think if we had run that against Ludogorets that maybe we would have gone through, or was it more the players that caused us to be kicked out? And I wanted your thoughts on that. Martial, you go ahead.
Well, it's an interesting question. Yeah, I will say that with a 4-2-3-1 in the away leg, we would have won maybe, because we have so many tools in this squad, and also the main issue I have with Martin's lineup in Ludogorets was not to bring Agibu on the pitch, because it was nice. He scored the equalizer, and he just needed maybe to run on this confidence he has gained on this game, and he didn't play any minutes, if I'm correct, in the second game. And along to the tactical difference we saw, it was maybe a man's choice, and as you said, because it was more on the player rather than on a tactic. But the 4-2-3-1 suits us quite perfectly. We just need maybe another striker, a faster one, that could go maybe just after the 60 minutes, because El Arabi is not speed enough, because he's older, obviously, and Hassan is not the profile needed for that.
And even Tiquinho is not very fast either.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, as long as I can remember supporting Olympiacos, we've always played the 4-2-3-1. That's always been the go-to. No matter how we play it, that's what we've always lined up with for the most part, even in Europe as well. And it's just such a reliable formation for us, especially against teams that we either are of a similar level or are just vastly superior to. And it gives us an opportunity to boss the game, and maybe that is what we lacked against Ludogorets. Not that they are maybe much weaker than us, but I personally, I'm of the opinion, completely biased, Olympiacos supporter and all that. I think we might all be. But we had a better squad than them. We, on paper, should, no disrespect to Ludogorets, be getting past a team like that, even if they do have Piero Sotirio in their team. And maybe it wasn't the system that affected us in the second leg against Ludogorets. Maybe it was just the mentality, because even in the first half in the 4-3-3, I actually thought we played quite well. We were the better team in the first half, and that was with the 4-3-3. And I think it was just because their heads dropped the moment they got the early equalizer, and after that it just went absolutely to pot. And yeah, and I know Pedro Martins does not see the 4-2-3-1 as a formation he wants to play. You know, we've said it before. He wants to play 4-3-3. He wants to play 4-4-2. He wants to play 3-4-3. But I think just for a core formation that will always work, and we have the players that fit, and we have and just putting it all together, it works so well for the vast majority of games. I can't see why we wouldn't play 4-2-3-1. Obviously, against the bigger teams, we've seen that 3-4-3 or 4-3-3 works. So for those kind of games, we play that specific formation. But for teams again, especially like Slovan Bratislava, where we have to dominate a game, get the job done, 4-2-3-1 is the formation for me.
I've loved it. I have been a huge fan of it. I understood kind of why we went away from it last year in the beginning of last season. I wasn't a huge fan. Then the 3-4-3, when we were having success, I was okay with the change. But I still feel like 4-2-3-1 is our bread and butter. The concern obviously was with no Fortunis, who can play the 10. I think we have ourselves a new candidate, boys and girls. Now, I don't think it's fair for us to put that pressure on such a young kid. I definitely loved seeing his energy and movement. I think, Valbuena can also play the 10, as we know, but then the question becomes who can play the 10 for us after that? We don't really have a lot of guys that can. So unless you're comfortable riding your offense, or we should say the ingenuity of your offense, through an 18-year-old kid, can we realistically continue to run a 4-2-3-1? And that's going to be the question. At this point, I think that the 3-4-3 should be shelved. Maybe we stick with the 4-3-3 or do a 4-4-2 going forward. But as it stands, that's a serious question that needs to be answered. All in all, I think that the formation, although I like this formation, I also think that we also had players exerting effort today, which was the huge difference between the previous games. So we can debate tactics all we want in that regard, but I think that's going to be one of the huge things. So, boys and girls, we're running on almost 40 minutes here. It's a brief post-match. We have a long episode coming up on Sunday. So what we wanted to do, of course, we do after every game, which is a man of the match and a coach's grade. So, Martial, go ahead, get us started. Who is your man of the match today? I think I know who it is. You kind of talked about him earlier, but what would you give the coaching grade for Martins, and who gets your final accolade for man of the match?
Well, I would say perhaps Sise, obviously. The choice was tough between him and Madi Camara, but I would say Pat Sise. And for the coaching grade, I would make it's on which scale is it?
Right. So the scale is A is the best, then it's B is like above average, C is about average, D is below average, definitely made some mistakes, F is god awful.
Yeah. Well, I will say A minus if it exists. I don't because Martins for me made the right choice to choose the 4-2-3-1, but maybe he waited a little bit too long for changes, but it's just to find something negative. So A minus would be good for me.
Stephen.
Martial said it. The unsung hero that we haven't spoken about very much is Madi Camara. Got the first goal. Very nice goal at that. But I'm also with Martial that it is, for me, the man of the match is Pape Sise. Like I've said it already. He had the passion, he had the work ethic, he had the drive, he had the goal. And he also got the injury, unfortunately. But that we won't count that in his man of the match performance. But that's who he gets for me. And coach's grade, I'm going to give Martins an A. He kind of fulfilled everything I wanted. We got the 3-0 win. we're 99% in the Europa League group stages now. We just have to not lose by a similar margin to go to extra time or 4-0 to go out. And that's highly unlikely, no disrespect to Slovan Bratislava. And now that I said that, we will lose 5-0. I'm joking. Please don't. Oh, God. But yeah, I'm pleased. I'm very, very pleased.
Likewise. For me, my man of the match is going to be Madi. I have the midfielder bias. It's no secret to anybody. I give it to Madi, not only just for the goal, but God, some in the midfield, they couldn't do anything with him. And then on that left side, how about that? The step over, he stepped over right, cut left, just beat the defender. Some great balls in the first half. Both him and Jan and Vila kind of had some sketchy passing. But then by second half, that was all out of their system. They were playing the possession at least was a little bit cleaner between them. So Madi Kamara, man of the match. And I am also going to give Martins an A- because Martial, that was my gripe. We're seeing first-year Martins with some of these substitutions in these preseason games where he takes too long to make a change. And I don't like that. I thought that he was finally getting better, and I don't like seeing him regressing. So that is my man of the match, my coach's grade. And guys, now that we're closing up here, thank you so much for listening, especially if you've made it this far. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a review, comment, please tell your friends. Don't forget to DM us, by the way, DM the pod account about the Patreon campaign, your opinions on it. We've gotten some feedback. So far, it's a lot more positive than I was expecting. I was honestly expecting more people to be like, this is stupid, but a lot of you were very, very optimistic about it, and we thank you for that. But again, please give us your opinions. We need your opinions because we do not want to alienate anybody from this podcast. So thank you, everybody, again, for listening. This is the Gate 7 International Podcast.
You just listened to an episode of the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast connecting Olympiacos fans from Brussels to Tokyo, from Toronto to Geneva. We are 4 Olympiacos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you will never miss out on the latest updates and stories of the team you love. If you liked what you heard, make sure to follow us on social media at Gate7INTL, give us a subscribe on YouTube, or even leave a review on all our podcast channels. Until next time, this is our team, our city, and our story. Θρύλος είσαι, στο μυαλό κάτι μαγικό.